welcome to episode 61 of the What Shara Made podcast. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and a big hello if this is the very first time you are joining us. Today is actually the 2-year Podiversary of my podcast. Yes, that's right, I've been doing this podcast for 2 whole years. I have been loving every minute of it. I've made so many amazing friends that I never would have met if I hadn't done the podcast. So that's probably been the best part about doing the podcast, is all the amazing people that I've met through the podcast. So hello to all my podcast friends. And I hope there'll be at least another 2 years of the podcast, but hopefully many, many more. So, you may notice that I'm in a different location. Well, I'm actually away from home this episode. I'm on a little holiday and I'm filming this episode in my hotel room. This is actually the second time I filmed this episode in my hotel room. The first episode I filmed and it was a really good episode and I went downstairs to edit, sit in a really nice bar downstairs and treat myself to a cocktail and edit the episode, and I discovered that the sound was so bad that it was completely unwatchable and it was completely unusable. So here I am again, recording for the second time, and hopefully I don't forget to mention anything that I spoke about in the first episode. I had my cocktail anyway, so I'm a little more relaxed in this episode because I've had a Negroni. It was very good, but here we are, second time around, first time for you, second time for me. It's still episode 61. I've got a couple of whips and a couple of FOs, but my FOs aren't with me because I didn't want to bring my FOs with me on holiday. So I'll slot some photos in. One of the FOs, I don't know that I actually have a photo on my iPad with me, so I might not edit this here. I might wait until I get home to edit the podcast now. But that's okay, I'll slot photos in of the FOs, but I'll definitely show you my whips because I do have those with me. I'll start with my first one. Now if you follow me on Instagram, you'll actually be familiar with this whip, but you won't have seen the whole thing. It's my Nalia Advent Wrap, and I'm making this with my Advent calendar that I got from Rosehip Island, or the Rosehip Island, or Rosehip Knits podcast. Do you watch the Rosehip Knits podcast with Hannah? It's one of my favourites. And this is my Nalia wrap, which I spoke about on the last episode, in episode 60. So this is what I've got so far. So let's get rid of that. So that's day 1 of my yarn advent calendar. Day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. And this is day 8. I haven't quite finished it yet. And today's day 9, and I haven't started that one yet. I've unwrapped day 9, but I haven't started the crocheting because obviously I haven't finished day 8. And that's because I'm on holidays. But hopefully I'll finish that tonight and then I can start on day 9 tonight, right? Loving it. Oh my god. Having a yarn advent calendar is one of the best things I've ever done for myself. It is the most fabulous way to wake up every morning. I will definitely get one again next year. I can tell you that for sure. Loving it. So, this is my Nalia wrap. If you're following me on Instagram, as I said earlier, you would have already seen this, but you wouldn't have seen the whole thing because I'm just putting up a little snippet of it each day. Each little section, as I do it, I'll pop up a little detail of that section, and I'm putting up a photo every day of the section that I'm doing, except for today because I haven't finished it. so you're not going to get a photo of today. So I'm probably going to put up 2 photos tomorrow. And I'm putting up a photo of the yarn that I'm getting in my advent calendar every day as well, so you can follow along there and see what treasures I'm getting. And I've actually got 2 advent calendars happening at the moment. My yarn advent calendar, and my very lovely friend Dana in Germany, hello Dana, made me an advent calendar, and sent it to me, and it is amazing. It is so beautiful, and her daughter expertly wrapped each individual day. If there was such a job as a gift wrapper, Dana's daughter would be the head gift wrapper. They're so beautiful, and every day I get to wake up to a new present, and it's fabulous. So this is my Nalia wrap so far. As you can see, it's probably going to need a bit of a blocking at the end and quite a few ends woven in, but that's okay. I quite enjoy the meditative process of sitting down and weaving in all the ends at the end of a project, so that's fine by me. But I'm loving all these colours, and I've got a feeling, I don't know for sure because you don't know what you're getting when you get a yarn advent calendar, and each day the colour is a surprise, but I've got a feeling, you can see it, everything looks very cool and green and blue at this stage, a little bit of purple, but things are going to warm up in the colour scale as the calendar goes on. But I don't know, we'll see. I guess we'll see how things progress there. But besides the Nalia wrap, what I'm also doing, oh, I think the camera just moved. Sorry, hope it doesn't move too far. I've got it propped up in an unusual position against a window on a coffee table, so on a tissue box and a speaker. Very technical here. What I'm also doing with my Nalia wrap and my advent calendar, once I finish each section in my Nalia wrap, I've actually got a little bit of yarn left over, and I didn't want that to go to waste, so I'm using those little leftover bits to knit some socks. And what you can see here is that I'm doing the toe, heel, and eventually the calf in a single colour in a solid yarn, and I'll do that the same on both socks, but for the body of the sock I'm just using up the little leftover bits from each section, from each day, and I'm knitting a blueberry waffle sock. I'm sure you're all familiar with that pattern, and I'm doing a toe up sock so that I can use up every single little scrap from the yarn advent calendar, and I'll do 12, use 12 of the yarn advent colours in one sock and 12 in the next sock, of course, because there's 24 in the yarn advent calendar. And I've just turned the heel, so now I'm up to the leg or the ankle, and I'm loving it. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So obviously I finish this, whichever section I'm up to, I finish this, and then the yarn that's left over from that I then knit into my sock. So that's my little routine every day, except for today when I haven't finished it. You've caught me. But I've been very good up until now when I'm away. So that has been really fun and a really nice way to use every single skerrick of the yarn, and I'm not even tying knots, I'm splicing the yarn together, so there's no wastage. Every single centimetre of this yarn is being used. Loving it, oh my god. Even with my severe colour OCD, I'm still getting into it. I'm fine, I'm okay, thank you for your concern. Loving it, love it. Oh my god, these are the best. Really good. So that's my next whip. And just in case you're wondering, This is day 9 because today, as I'm filming this, it is the 9th of December and this is day 9 in the Advent calendar. Isn't it gorgeous? See things starting to warm up a little bit. See where I'm going? Now, my next whip is some more Christmas knitting, but it's nothing to do with the Advent calendar. That's all over now for whips to do with the Advent calendar. But this is some Advent knitting. No, I just said I'd done that. This is not Advent knitting, this is Christmas knitting. So, I'm knitting a pair of socks for a friend. She doesn't watch the podcast, so this isn't going to be spoiled for her. But I'm also doing the blueberry waffle sock pattern in this sock. But I'm going cuff down, whereas this one's toe up. And I'm using some commercially dyed yarn, as you can see. And it's this yarn here, which is from the Bendigo Woolen Mills. And it just so happens that I am presently in Bendigo. It's just a coincidence. I actually already had this yarn at home that I bought approximately maybe just over 18 months ago. Just in case you don't know, you probably do know, but just in case you don't, Bendigo is where the annual Australian Sheep and Wool Show is held, and it's actually held in July each year, not in December now, but I am here in Bendigo because I wanted to come and see the Edith Head exhibition, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm knitting these socks for a friend for Christmas. I love it. Really enjoying knitting this. I've had this yarn in my stash for a really long time, and I was a bit worried about knitting it up because it feels a bit harsh in the ball. It's not harsh, it's not scratchy. I'm being a bit hard on it there. But it doesn't feel gorgeous like Bracy Island, for example. But it's a bit more like Regia, for example. And I was a bit worried about how it would knit up. But once I've started knitting it up, it is beautiful, gorgeous. And I really enjoy the way that those colours are coming together. Really nice, really liking it. And I know that my friend that I'm making them for will really, really appreciate these colours as well and the way that they're knitting up. And I made her a pair of socks, not last year, but the year before for Christmas. And then last year when I didn't make her a pair of socks, she was really disappointed and asked where her socks were. I was like, oh, okay, I will make you a pair of socks this year then. So I made her something different last year and she was like, I really would have liked a pair of socks. So I got the hint and I'll make her a pair of socks this year, and that's these socks. So these are my new travel project. So that's what I'm making. And the reason that I needed a new travel project is because I finished my spring socks. I finished them in summer. I started them at the beginning of spring. They were tiny little ankle socks for my tiny little feet. They used less than 50 grams of yarn and they took me more than 3 months to finish. But I finished them, and I will put a photo of the finished socks in here. Because I don't have them with me. I really enjoyed knitting them. I haven't had a chance to wear them because I haven't had sock wearing weather, because it's summer now and they took me too long to knit. But I really like them. I've tried them on, they fit, but I haven't worn them, so I can't attest to their comfortableness. Is that a word? And I may or may not write the pattern up. I'll see how they go when I actually wear them. I like to know how they actually function first before I write the pattern. So I needed a new travel project, and that's these beautiful socks. And I've really enjoyed working on these because I absolutely love the blueberry waffle pattern. It's one of my favourites. I love wearing it, I love the way it looks, but most of all I love knitting it. So there you go. Now, because I am in Bendigo, I decided to go to the Bendigo Woolen Mills, and I'm sure that if you're in Australia you're more than familiar with the Bendigo Woolen Mills or their products. They're nearby to where I am, so I took a walk down there today. It's beautiful weather, so it was a lovely day for a walk, and I thought, while I'm here, I might check out some yarns because I've got a couple of presents to knit for Christmas. I know, you're thinking that's crazy, right? Because you've got Advent socks, Advent wrap, Christmas socks, but you're gonna knit some more. I know. But these two really aren't that big of a commitment. There's maybe 8 to 10 rounds of a sock per day, and that takes maybe 20 minutes, half an hour if I dawdle. So that's really no big deal. Could knit that anytime, right? Okay, so that's no big deal. This, each section, it really doesn't take long at all. By the time I wind the yarn from the little hank and do the section, it's maybe an episode of a TV show on Netflix. I've timed it. Just recently I've been getting into, I've started watching Veronica Mars. I never watched it when it first came out. I don't know why. But I've started watching it and I love it. It would have been more age appropriate when it was first released, because I think it's designed for teenagers. But I'm watching it now. I'm really enjoying it. If you're looking for something, a bit of fluff kind of TV that you don't really have to think about but still very enjoyable, Veronica Mars. So it takes an episode of Veronica Mars approximately from winding the hank to crocheting a section. So that's not a lot. And I've definitely been watching an episode of Veronica Mars a day in December. So that's not a big commitment. And this, I mean, I can knit a pair of socks pretty quickly when I work on it, think about it, and so that shouldn't take too much work, right? Okay. These ones, I only have to do one bit per day up until Christmas Eve. Yep. These, I do need to get finished in time to mail it to the other side of my own state before Christmas Day. Okay? Alright? So then I have committed, well, partially, sort of, yes, I have. I've committed to knitting 2 other Christmas gifts, but I don't have to have those finished until Christmas Day because the people I'm giving them to, I will indeed see on Christmas Day. So I have a deadline. I know it's the 9th of December. I have a deadline of Christmas Day, and it could be like last year when I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve, well, Christmas morning, knitting. Oh, you know, I'll happily knit into the wee hours of the morning, like on a good day, like without a deadline. So maybe it's not that crazy. Maybe I'll just do that anyway. Anyway, while I was at the mill, I got some gift knitting yarn. About 2 days ago, my gorgeous 10-year-old nephew, Campbell, sent me a letter written in all different coloured glitter pen, so he knew what would appeal to me, obviously, telling me that he would like a pair of gloves made by me for Christmas. That's what he would like from me. Auntie Rara, that's me, in red. He would like a pair of hand-knit gloves, red hand-knit gloves from Auntie Rara for Christmas. And so that's what I got. Now, red never shows up well on screen. It's blowing out and it's coming up like a real, it's sort of showing the right colour, but it's a really bright, vibrant, true red, perfect for a 10-year-old boy. And it's sort of what I would describe as a racing car red. I don't want to get too gender stereotypical there, but if I was to give it a name, it would definitely be a racing car red. And it's showing up reasonably accurately on the screen actually now that I'm holding it back here. So I'm going to attempt to knit him. He's only 10 and he's only got little hands. I should be able to knit him a pair of gloves. Now when I say gloves, I don't think I'm going to be able to knit him gloves with fingers, because I don't think I'm going to have time to see him measure his hands and then knit gloves with fingers. I'm not going to see him in that time. So it may be fingerless gloves. But that's okay. I think he'll be very happy with that. So I got this yarn at the mill, but I also got some more yarn at the mill, because in our family, for Christmas with the adults, we do a Kris Kringle. So you draw a name out of a hat, all the adults. The kids aren't included in this, but for the adults, instead of buying everyone, all the adults buying all the other adults a present, we draw a name out of a hat and you just buy that adult a present, and then one other adult buys you a present, and it's just a bit easier. And you can put in a request for what you'd like, or you can say I'd like a surprise, or but I got my sister-in-law, my brother's partner, in the Kris Kringle this year, and I'm going to make her something. I've already got something else in the Kris Kringle, but I'm going to make her something as well. And I've got a new brioche scarf pattern coming out, and I've been working on the design for a little while, but only in sort of little swatches. But I want to work up the prototype, so I thought maybe I can do the prototype and my sister-in-law's present at the same time. Crazy, with a deadline for Christmas. Anyway, that's what I'm going to attempt. Lord help me. But these are the colours that I've chosen. I asked my brother and he said yes, this is the colour scheme she would like. Pure black, pure wool, and this is sort of a mild grey, and it's 50% wool, 50% bamboo. And it's really beautiful. It's really, really nice. And it's going to be a brioche design, and it's going to be reasonably simple, but I think she should really like it. She's absolutely gorgeous. I love her to death, so I want it to be really special. And I've made her things in the past and she really appreciates them, so she's very knit worthy. So I'm 100% happy to stay up all night knitting for her. Absolutely fine. No trouble at all. So that's what I got at the mill. I got a couple of other things as well, of course, because I was surrounded by yarn and I couldn't help myself. And I think the woman at the mill maybe thought I was a bit mental, and I possibly am, because I'm not even kidding, I reckon I spent about half an hour trying to choose 3 colours for a shawl that I also have. I was working on a design on the way up here, and I had my little sketchbook out, and I thought I had it totally set out and I knew exactly what colours I was going to use, and well, I was so pleased with myself because it usually takes me forever to figure that bit out. And when I got in there and I was faced with all the different colours, too many choices, suddenly all my pre-made decisions went out the window, and I had to try all the different colour combinations, and I kept trying all these different combinations. It was like I was trying to crack a safe, but with colours. And I could see her sort of giving me the side eye. I'm like, I'm fine. And anyway, eventually I settled on 3 colours, and they were the first 3 I picked. And but I settled on those 3, and I'll show you. Here they are. They're right here. Can I pick them up at the same time? So here we are. And these are 200-gram balls, so I may actually get a couple of shawls out of these, depending on the design that I go for. But they're the 3 colours, so it's stone, shadow, and bark. And they're beautiful. I love these 3 colours. Rather sedate, but gorgeous. So, that's all the yarny things. Now my other FO that I don't have with me, but I want to talk about and I want to show you pictures, is for my nephew's 10th birthday, the one who requested the red gloves. I decided that I would make him a quilt. My sister and her husband have just bought a new house, and I wanted my nephew to have a new quilt for his new bedroom for his birthday. So I thought I would make him a new quilt. And I thought, when I decided this, that I would start early so that I would have it out of the way, and I wouldn't be rushing to try and get it finished before his birthday or right up against the deadline of his birthday. And if anything should go wrong with the making of the quilt, I wouldn't feel pressure and I would have plenty of time to fix it. Boy, am I glad I started very, very early, because I have never unpicked anything so many times. Oh my goodness. I think I maybe was a bit overconfident with my quilting skills. I've only ever, prior to this one, I'd only ever made 2 other quilts. One was a baby quilt, and the other one was like a, maybe not quite a single bed size quilt. And both of those were reasonably successful. But I decided I would make my nephew this quilt, and I searched through the internet to find a pattern that I liked, and I found one that I really liked, and I just happened to have that pattern already in a quilt magazine that I subscribe to. I have a digital subscription to it, and I read through the pattern and it seemed quite straightforward, and I thought, yep, I'll do that. So I ordered the fabric online, and it all seemed great. And he follows a football team called the Richmond Tigers, and their colours are yellow and black, and so I ordered some yellow and black fabric that had tigers on it, and a background colour of a neutral sort of a cream colour, and it arrived and it was beautiful. It was perfect, exactly what I was looking for. And I cut all the pieces out and I started putting it together, and it was going quite smoothly, and it was going reasonably quickly, and I thought, I'm going to have this done in like a week. I'm going to have it finished like more than a month before his birthday. I am so organised. And then things started to go horribly wrong. I started to get all these curves where there should have been straight lines, and I started to unpick them and then tried to redo them, and then they were still curved, and I couldn't figure out what was going wrong. And the more I unpicked them and tried to do them, the curvier they got. And then they started to get curves in the other direction, and I just had no idea what was going wrong. And because I don't really know what I'm doing, I didn't know how to fix them, and I didn't even know what to search for online to try and figure out what was going on, because I don't even really know what the terms are in quilting either. So that made it a bit of a challenge. And I was looking at other people's versions of this quilt online, and they all looked perfect. I was like, okay. Eventually I just sort of gave myself a bit of slack and finished the top of the quilt, and it was somewhat organic. It was a little bit rustic in spots, and some parts didn't quite line up, and I was just like, whatever, that's how it's going to be, that's what mine's going to look like. And Campbell is 10, he probably won't mind, and it'll be fine. So I just left that as it was. And then probably the most challenging part was when I sandwiched the top, the batting and the backing together, and I thought I did a pretty good job, but apparently I did a totally rubbish job at that. And when it came time to quilting all 3 layers together, that's when I ran into all sorts of problems, and I had to repeatedly unpick the quilting so many times that it was just bananas. And I ran into all sorts of different problems, not just one problem multiple times, but all sorts of crazy problems. And it was just bananas, and I kept sort of trying to convince myself that it was going to get easier, or it might get better if I kept going. And eventually at one stage I actually had to unpick half a quilt's worth of quilting, and it took hours. Like it took almost 24 hours to unpick what I'd done, and it was crazy. And at one stage I actually thought, I'm going to cut this thing in half and it's getting a lap quilt. And then that night I went to bed and I had an epiphany. And the next day I got up and I figured out how to fix it. And it turned out, in my defence, somewhat, two things. I'm not as experienced as I probably needed to have been to make this particular quilt, and B, there was really crucial information missing from the pattern. And more experienced crocheters understood that there was crucial information missing and were able to overcome that without the information in the pattern. But I didn't know that because I'm not experienced enough, so that crucial information missing from the pattern was fatal for me. So there was that. Once I knew that, I was able to overcome it. In the end, I made a quilt and it looks fine. If you got a set square out and tried to get some 90-degree angles, there are none. Don't try. You can't fold this thing into any sort of a square. It's not happening. It's no. But when I gave it to Campbell for his birthday, he was thrilled. He was over the moon, absolutely loves it. He wrapped it around himself and he never took it off for the rest of the day. He just walked around the house in it. So he loved it. He hasn't taken it off his bed. He thinks it's brilliant. He drags it out in the morning, wraps it around him on the couch, and yeah, he thinks it's fantastic. So I don't even care that it gave me nightmares. Like, I literally dreamt about it at night. So yeah, I don't care. It's wonky, it's weird, none of the edges are straight, it's all it's all weird. yeah, I couldn't take it to the CWA and it would not win any ribbons at the show. But it's finished. He loves it. It's kind of cool. And here's some pictures of it. So there you go. There's my nightmare quilt that the kid loves. And it took me about 5 weeks to make it. I think I need another cocktail. This is soda water. I think that's it for all my making things. I actually made notes. I never make notes, but I made notes, but I made them a couple of days ago. I've done that. Oh, I haven't done that. Yes. Okay. So I've done most of the things on my list of notes. Alright. Now, if you watched episode 60, the last episode, you would have seen that all 3 of my advent calendar patterns have now been released. So there's the Planina wrap, which is the garter stitch syncopated chevron wrap, and there is the Nalia wrap, which is the one that I'm making, which is the crochet version of the Planina wrap, and there is the Adeluma scarf as well, which is the brioche scarf, and it's an asymmetrical sail type scarf. It's a very long and skinny at one end and fat at the other end, and they're all available on Ravelry at the moment, and I've had a beautiful response to all 3 patterns, so thank you so much to all the gorgeous comments and everyone who's bought the pattern and everyone who's making the pattern with their advent calendars. Thank you so much. And in the Ravelry group, the What Shara Made podcast Ravelry group, you can find a thread for each individual pattern. So if you've got questions, or you want to make any comments about the patterns, or you want to show us pictures of your whips, or you want to talk about colours that you're using, and you don't have to use an advent calendar for any of the patterns. You can use whatever yarn you like. You really can. Show us in the threads, like talk about them there, and you can always ask me questions directly on Ravelry as well. You don't have to ask them in the thread. If you just want to ask me a question privately or directly, ask them to me as in a private message on Ravelry as well. I'm always happy to help that way too. Next thing on my list. So I've got next thing on my list. I've got several new patterns coming up in the new year, and there's a few different patterns. So keep an eye on Instagram, and I'll be calling for testers as well. There's some brioche shawls. They'll have some brioche and some lace in them, and you'll see those coming through. I hope to have them coming through in the first few months of the new year, but it depends how everything else goes as well, so we'll see how those keep going. But keep an eye on Instagram and you'll see them happening there. I'm very excited about them. My sketchbook is really full, so I just have to get all this Christmas knitting out of the way now that I've added 2 new projects, and then I'll be able to start on those prototypes, so that's good. The swatches are looking great, but the full prototypes will be coming soon. And next thing on my list, the November pattern winner for the year-long stash busting craft along. If you can see your name here right now, congratulations. You are the winner of the single pattern, any single pattern on Ravelry that you like. Let me know, contact me on Ravelry and let me know the name of the pattern that you want, and I will send it to you via Ravelry. Congratulations! And anyone is eligible for those prizes, the pattern prizes. Just enter your stash busting FOs in the thread on Ravelry, in the Ravelry group, and everyone's eligible. So you don't have to have been playing all year. You can still enter now, partway through December, and still be eligible. And you can keep entering your FOs in that thread right up until midnight on the 31st of December. So keep putting them in there, keep entering your FOs. It's one of the best threads ever, especially if you want some inspiration. Go and have a look in there. There are so many amazing projects. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. So good. So congratulations. Let me know which pattern you want and I will send that to you. Now, I think that is definitely everything. Yeah, that's definitely everything. Okay. Oh wait, no, I forgot to tell you. The whole reason that I'm actually in Bendigo is to see the Edith Head exhibition at the Bendigo Regional Gallery. And Edith Head is a costume designer in Hollywood, but was a costume designer in Hollywood. And even if you don't know who Edith Head is, you've probably seen Edith Head costumes before in films, because she designed costumes for over 1,000 films, in all sorts of classic films, Hollywood films, lots of Hitchcock films and films for Paramount. You've definitely seen films that have had Edith Head costumes in them. She is phenomenal. She's a really funny woman as well, but so talented. Oh my goodness. It blew my mind. The exhibition is just amazing. If you are in Victoria, I can highly recommend going to the exhibition. It closes in January, so get your skates on. If you've got even a passing interest in fashion or sewing or any sort of fibre crafts, I can highly recommend going. It is amazing. I had to put my hands in my pockets because I was so tempted to touch the exhibits. I never would, of course, but it was incredibly tempting to want to just touch it, but I would never do that. Absolutely beautiful, and I think I might put some pictures in here of some of the pieces that I saw. So it was amazing. I absolutely loved every single bit of it, and I've seen so many of those films, but had no idea that the costumes were designed by Edith Head, and it was just amazing. So yeah, really amazing, really stunning. 100% worth the trip and more. So that's all I've got for you today. It was well worth filming a second episode. Hopefully the sound is at least 100% better on this episode, and I will see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.